Oh, he's
everybody.
so
We are
cute.
so
Who's in the
sorry to
background?
be about 35 minutes behind. Better late than never. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Cosmic Tea Hour 999. Hi Val, hi Denise, hi Haley. So sorry for the wait. We were having a little bit of tech issues, but StreamYard got its stuff together, and now we're all here together. Kumbaya, happy holidays. I am here. I am here with my favorite co-host, Peter Mark, psychic astrologer, and our new friend, Jedediah. Hello, everyone, and how are you doing? Haley may or may not come on and be with us later. And here we are. Peter and I are here to interview Jedediah. He's our new beautiful art friend that we've met. How are you doing tonight, Jedediah?
It's a beautiful day. I'm enjoying life as we have it, and I'm just trying to walk through it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you. Peter, how are you doing, honey?
I'm doing wondrous now that we figured out the major things that are going on, and it has to do with it has to do with retrogrades. But I'm doing wonderful. I spent the afternoon with a brilliant doctor who's a friend of mine, and I'm having a wondrous day.
That's beautiful to hear. I'm glad about that. Peter, what's going on with these retrogrades? What's going on right now?
If I could answer that, I would be on the level of Albert Einstein.
You were my Hollywood astrologer. Get me the answers.
I'm your Hollywood astrologer. Anyway, let me explain it. Let me explain it now. I'll explain it almost as brilliantly as Nostradamus. I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, I'm in the wrong year. All right, hold on. Here
he pulls out his book and he's like, let me tell you what's going on right now.
Let me tell you what's going on. First of all, we're out of Mercury retrograde. So that's
Ooh, Haley has joined us. Just in time for the astrology part, Haley. Welcome.
Hey.
Hi,
I actually can't jump. I didn't realize it was going straight to live.
Whoop.
To bed. So I will be back.
Little friend.
Anyway.
Hey.
Look at this. Love it, love it, love it. So anyway, we've got 1, 2, 3 planets in retrograde. So the energy is actually, it appears from the cosmic realm that it's going backwards. And Venus is in the sign of Aquarius. And that's why we're having technical problems. Blame it on Venus. Don't blame it on me.
Not Mercury either, which is a lot of like a planet most people like to blame their tech troubles on.
Well, let me tell you this. Tonight, Venus is conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, and that rules electricity, anything electric, anything to do with gadgets or whatever. My guides told me, because of us coming on, our favorite guides, they were doing everything they could to make this show work. So hooray for our guides.
Hooray for them. Isn't there something going on between Jupiter and Saturn too tonight?
Jupiter and Saturn, let me see. Jupiter and Saturn are, well, there's a square actually going on, which also is causing problems. Saturn is, believe it or not, direct. And Mars, let me explain this to you. Mars is retrograde. I just caught it. Mars is in opposition to Venus and Aquarius. That can also cause a problem.
That's true.
We've got a square going on. So we are going to reject all the things that are going on cosmically, and we're going to make this one of the best shows that we've ever had. How does that sound?
I love it. I love it. Well, we have this beautiful new energy on. So I called Jedediah Jay, and that's what I'm comfortable with. Jay, are you comfortable with me calling you Jay?
You could call me the Penguin. You could call me Joseph. You could call me Jay-Z. Just don't call me late for dinner. I'm here.
Jay-Z, I like it.
No, don't call me.
On Cosmic Tea Hour, we treat it as our virtual living room where we like to be very comfortable with each other and we talk about real things. And tonight's topic is the power of positivity. But it's also about interviewing you and why you have come onto the show and why we have connected to each other to be able to bring your talent and love and personhood to our show to share with all of our friends. So do you mind telling our friends about who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Jedediah. I'm a muralist, artist. I do acrylic mediums. And I like to take time with the energy around me and the people and enjoy them and put it into my work.
I think that was the shortest answer that we've ever had, Peter.
I believe so.
Right? Straight to the point.
It's straight to the point. It's very direct and very succinct. So congratulations on that.
Yes. So what is your favorite kind of art and how did you get into it? Because you are not just an artist. You are one of the most amazing artists I've ever seen. Your skill level is amazing. And you also forgot to mention that you have a mobile art studio that you share with the community. So
that's
wow.
Right.
Dish it up, honey.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I know I'm allowed to dish it out now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I own Beefo Art Supplies. It's a beautiful supply company where we go portable from state to state. We sell cans, we sell aerosol art, we sell murals. We do murals. So what we do is we let people buy spray cans from us, and then we wound up spraying our mobile art store live. We let the people use their essence and build it on the RV, and then we drive it around and let people see that artwork that they've built. We try really hard to keep the positivity together and build each other while we're doing it. So if someone feels uncomfortable with something they're doing, we try to help them out and push them in a way that they'll feel more comfortable.
He's so modest. He also forgot to speak about how he's a mentor for different children and students in the realm of art, that he's constantly teaching people how to do different kind of art styles and drawing, that he is always in the community helping develop artists and make collaborations so that he can help small businesses grow. You see, he has all these things in his pocket that he's just too shy to share, Peter. We have to help him get out of the shell.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Do you work at all with autistic spectrum or clinical issues with clients?
Absolutely. So I've worked with a lot of children with autism. When they want to work with us, it's very, very quick work, but the work that they do has so much expression that we kind of want to guide them to just enjoy moving. When they start getting into wanting to build more visuals and pictures, that's when things get to a point where you want to let them go there, but then you take their hand and you build with them. And if they can't move certain things, so I have 2 people I've worked with in the past that didn't walk correctly, and I had to get them moving. And but that was, that I'm getting out of my shell.
Good. Val says, I draw a mean box. And Denise says, I draw stick figures here.
I love the stick figures. Those are the best ones.
The reason I asked you is my son is under the autism spectrum, and I've had to work with art, and I have brought him to art teachers in Connecticut to facilitate him coming out of his shell. And I applaud you for it, because we need more people that are open to the concept of working with the autistic spectrum and the people with special needs, in order for them to connect with this type. It's a form of intelligence to me. A lot of these children need a form of intelligence that they can relate to. And to me, art comes from the soul. It's a form of genius. It's a form of creativity. So what you're doing is brilliant. It's amazing work.
Well, don't you find it fascinating, since you've worked in this field a little bit, that like the person that's involved, the child or the adult, that's doing. Excuse me, 1 second. The dog's trying to play with stuff. Sorry, guys. I apologize.
Lucy just gets
Don't
on
you-
screen with me.
Yeah, she was on screen before, but she's like, no, Daddy's talking, so now I got to make a scene. So it's great how you see like the aura and their visions, and that's my favorite thing to talk about is when a child that has some kind of ability. I say ability because a lot of people think autism is a disability. It's an ability. I feel like it's almost like a special power. They're able to focus in and attack something more than the normal vision of certain human beings.
With autism, how it affects the brain, many of the children and adults that I have worked with that are autistic have the ability, they're very intense, and they learn and they assimilate information in a different way than somebody without autism. So I believe that they are more right brain than left brain. And when it comes down to, I don't know if you've heard of the term Asperger's. Asperger's is one of the highest levels of autism that a child or an adult can have. And I was able to take my clients for art classes that have Asperger's, and they sat there, and as soon as the instructor showed them a canvas what they were creating and drawing, automatically the client was able to duplicate it. I mean, there was genius, absolute genius there. So your gift and your ability to express yourself on a canvas, whatever is most needed in our society. I was even talking to the doctor tonight that I'm friends with, and she was saying the area of art is opening up the spectrum for us to clinically make communication so much more easier for these people. So you have a God-given gift.
Absolutely. Art is one of the languages of the soul. And I think,
Yes.
it's definitely why it's such a strong footprint and why we have events that are entirely built around it. Like we just had Sunshine's Metaphysical Mixer, and the collaboration that we bring together for these shows are art, music. We want to touch your soul without any kind of agents to come along and help you get there. There's so many people that want friendship, togetherness, coming together with like-minded, like-hearted people, and to celebrate things. And we speak, I tell everybody all the time, we speak the language of modalities. Because whether it is a painting that stops you in your tracks, or it is it's a poetic piece that you write out that like really hits your soul, or a song that you hear and it just like sends you into a frenzy of creativity. The reason why these things are timeless and there's no words that you could even ascribe to them, because that we are expressing source through our soul, and that's why we feel it. And it's not just about what you create at the end of it, it's what the process is or what you feel as you're there. Jay, back me up on this, or give me your own take on it. Oop,
What happened?
I can't hear you. Oh, you have this on. How's that better?
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Perfect.
For you.
No, I completely agree with you. So when it comes to art, I think that every person can draw, even if it's a Bach or a stick figure, because it's the essence of what's inside of them at that point.
Denise,
when they're doing those things, yeah, they're there. They're with me. So it doesn't matter what you're drawing. That's your expression that you're feeling at the time. And you have to urge yourself to let it out sometimes, because if you don't, it gets stuck and it bottles up inside of you. It builds up to be something that it should be or shouldn't be. And you want to be more put into an optimistic spot. So the more that you let it out, the better you'll get at it. And it's not about getting at the art, getting at yourself and feeling yourself, building things.
Yes.
But then the newest thing I've been doing, me and Teresa are talking about, is starting to burn art. And the whole thing is to let that go. So we're going to start doing some things where I want to take some of my artwork and no longer have it and burn it so that it could show the expression that that's art that was fulfilled inside of me, not for everyone else. And if we could build and start giving our art away, we'll start learning that the community could work together and seeing expression. Yes, we should be selling art because some people live off of that. But what I'm saying is there's some art out there that if it doesn't sell, you no longer need to be put into the realm of good or bad in those circumstances. And if we could take that and make new opportunities, that's key. And once we can make new opportunities, after losing the old ones.
I think there's a little clarification on that. So I just want to like peel open a conversation we had recently was Jay says, I create my art. I wait 3 months. If it doesn't sell in 3 months time, I burn it because the energy that I had 3 months ago to create that artwork, I'm no longer in. And it's very important to me, almost like a meditative practice, that I hold on to that piece for 3 months. And then when it doesn't sell, or if it doesn't sell, which is not often, that I'll burn it. And to me, that's an alternative form of art. To have this melted canvas with this melted work on it, it's me setting myself free from the energy that I was in to have the artwork all together. And the whole thing was very interesting to me.
The guides. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Let the guides talk.
No, I was just saying the guide said to me, by you burning it, you're releasing that energy in order for the new energy to come in to you. And I have 3 artists in my family, and all of them say after a year, if they look at if it doesn't sell in a year, it goes in the closet, they give it away or they burn it. So that is through your art. The guides are saying to me, you're learning. You yourself are learning with each art piece you create. You're creating a moment. And then after you learn from that moment, you're going on to a higher dimensional moment. So that's how they're interpreting and what they're saying to me.
Well, I just want to say this too. Yes, 3 months, 4 months is where I'm goaling at with everything. But it's mostly been on the feeling of the possession that's inside of the art. So the possession that's over you while you're doing this, now it might still be there because you might want to touch little things up or do some certain things. And then when that happens and you have that possession inside of you, you have to know, wait a minute, that's not meant to be here. This needs to go now. That feeling inside of me needs to leave. And it's not a negative thing. It's just going through you. It's flowing through you.
Yeah, you're keeping things transient. Okay, so here's my question to you. How did you get into art to begin with?
Exactly.
So my mother was a dancer, is a dancer, and my father was a musician. He just passed away last year. Beautiful man. I love him so much. He's still here. We all know that.
He's still here.
But yeah, my family, when they met each other, they met in the arts. My mom would dance, my dad would play, and that's how it was a beautiful thing for a long time. Later on in life, things change, and that led me into my stages of depression, where we've talked about that similarly before, me and Peter. And that stage of life that happened, it kept me into a deep thread of physicality with the art. So it kept me in there. So it could have been school, home, physical stuff that I was doing. I was always doing art. I wouldn't stop. It was almost possessive. And at this point in life, that art is no longer possessive, but a part of me. It is me. And it kept me going. My aunt and my uncles are both physical artists, but I didn't learn too much from them. I just took bits and pieces. I think the essence of, I guess I'm going to have to say it today, the essence of a lot of spirits have worked through me to give the art. And usually it's the essence of children. So when children are around, I could feel their energy and I put it into some of the art. And then also when there's certain people in my life, they don't really leave. And when they don't leave, this is what happened. So the art starts flowing through.
Interesting. Fascinating.
My next question is, so this is I'd say a spiritual turn. We're very life oriented, but there's a spiritual journey encapsulated in everything. And I know that you embody a spiritual journey. And it doesn't have to be about the way that you pray, the way you meditate, but how did you bring spirituality into your life? Because we already just touched on the art and the energy. So where do we go from here? What would you say your perspective on spirituality is?
So two things happened in my life. God influenced me a lot. I mean, like pretty much all of it. But in that time of God, I didn't really spend time with my family like they wanted me to. There was a man named Greg Zilb. They call him Shifu Greg. He's a martial arts instructor for the Shaolin martial arts, and he's a beautiful man. The essence of what he gave me was great within the Buddhist community, within the martial arts community, within the Kung Fu community. It built a platform for me. It gave me a structure. It gave me the ability to feel essences and build and see people past their limits. So doing Tai Chi, creating time with people and meditating with them in circles and powwowing like you guys would do, you know, I can't wait to get involved more with your powwows. But, you know, it was a great feeling. Later on in life, God took a hold of me, though. He kind of gave me this moral outlook that I didn't have previously, because I was so open to worldly things that every door I kept open. And when I kept these doors open, it left me in a kind of in a downward slope. Once I was able to take a more of a straight path of love, like full on love, I was able to see people in love, even in their worst situations. Homeless. I have a story that I did. I was homeless for a little bit when I first started a long time ago when I was like 18 years old. I was on the streets, and how do I explain this? I was basically living in a train. So the trains are going by, you pay for the ticket, you go on the train, you sleep on the train. So at one point, I was young. I was sitting on the train. It was like a scary movie. There's a homeless man on the right. I'm a homeless man on the left. I'm laying down with my jacket on. The guy goes, little more, a little more. And he gets so close to me. He's like, I like your shoes. I like your wallet. Can I have them, please? He asked nicely, too. It was crazy. But I was scared. So I took everything off. I came with them like, listen, can you at least leave me my wallet? I mean, can you at least leave me my...
That's scary.
Yeah. I said, can you at least leave me my license? I just need my license just so I have it on me. And so he sat down with me and he says, I said, actually, can you do me one more favor? Can you tell me where to sleep? Like, is there a place to sleep tonight? Is there certain things? I'm new to this. I humbled myself to him taking everything from me and asked him for advice. He sat down with me for at least 20 minutes, told me where to go, what to do. He didn't give me my jacket back. He gave me my shoes and he gave me my wallet, but took all my money. And he says, well, thank you very much. I said, no, thank you. And I just went back to sleep. And then from that point on, for a good couple of months, life was changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an impactful story.
Yeah. Have you seen it again? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Have you seen The Soul again?
No, that man I didn't see ever. It was a one-time deal. I thought I'd see him at like one of those like shelters I was at or something, but there was nothing. But I did that till I was like maybe like a half a year, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I called my family. I was like, help me, please, help me.
Help me,
They helped me. My family's really willing, and they were able. And I learned a lot that little bit of time. But then after there, I kept a hold of everything. I kept a hold of all the people in my life. I learned a lot about morality. I started going to church more. The church I would go to would help. I won't say any names. Will help me celebrate me within God. So God within me, not, oh, please do this, please do that. Yes, there is Christ. There is this. There is all these different things you can make into your life that would make you feel better. But the God inside of me, when he holds me close, and I'll say the Holy Spirit, but other people will say universe and whatever you feel. But that spirit that goes close inside of you, that makes you want to move. And then the spirits that are around you will move near you too, good and bad. So you have to be prepared for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, the power of positivity, because I have a couple more questions for Jay, but I want to absorb the richness of you. what do you feel as you're listening to Jay's story and then overall to everyone? I know the power of positivity has touched your life, and you work as a life coach, and you just what is it, next month your book Take Your Power Back, or the book that you wrote in Take Your Power Back, is coming out. Can you give us your insight and TLC on power of positivity and positivity?
Yes, what I wanted to say to you, and I'm going to encapsulate this in instead of giving a long story. Years ago, and I'll explain why I'm bringing this up. I was born with dyslexia when I was a child, and I felt that the dyslexia was going to destroy my life. I didn't feel any sense that I could accomplish, and I thought I was going to end up working in a factory, and there's nothing the matter with working in a factory. But I met a teacher, and I said to the teacher, "You have no idea what I'm going through." And the teacher said, "Yes, I do. I was born with brain damage, and I was born with a learning disability." And my mouth dropped, and I said, "My God, if you could achieve what you have achieved heretofore, so can I." And then I actually had a friend who put me in contact with Anthony Robbins, who's a very famous life coach. And the more I heard about other people that became well known and famous, the more I said, all I have to do is push myself and not accept limitations. And I started to meditate every night, and I was putting on brain syncs and meditations. And I did this for 31 days. And before I knew it, I started to only think and project and see myself in radio, TV, writing books, becoming something. And I struggled with it. And then one night after, I remember I woke up, and then somebody called me, a friend called me and said, "Peter, I know you studied astrology. Would you like to come on TV and do readings?" And I was listening to the mentors that I had in the past. I went on that night, a nervous wreck, but I was very positive, and I was disseminating to everybody that was calling in. I told them what I went through as a child, and I realized anybody, if you can start controlling your thinking, because our society is based on negativity, a lot of it. It's based on things, horrific things happening. And I started to surround myself with people that only spoke about positivity. And I wish I had known you at that time, but you weren't born. So anyway, you have an excuse. So,
I love this man. I love you.
so
We weren't alive, but we were there. We were there.
Right?
Yeah. So as I got older, I started only thinking in positive and positive. And before I knew it, what I was thinking and visualizing, I was attracting. And I thought to myself, my God, if I could start reading for celebrities and getting a name out, and I started visualizing it. And then I met Angie Dickinson, the famous actress, on a cruise. We became friends. I gave her a reading, and she said, "I'm going to let Hollywood know about you." So I am a perfect example of somebody that has had adversity, depression, a learning disability, and yet I'm in 3 to 4 books, and I'm on the most amazing podcast that I could have ever asked for. In case people don't know, CosmicTeaHour999, and I work with even my son. When he gets negative, I tell him to only think of positivity, and he said, "Dad, it's starting to happen now." And this is the truth. I was doing this kind of alone, and then when I met you, Teresa, my energy shifted again, and it went It soared. It absolutely soared because I know from knowing you for the short period of time, you're going places. You're both going places. And you come on here with all this wonderful wisdom for such a young lady, but you're an old soul. You both are old souls. And you just spit it out. And I'm thinking, where was she over the past 10 years? Well, we're doing it now. But I want to also say that I am inspired even now. My energy is shifted from seeing the artwork in the background and your gift. And I'm on a high right now, a natural high, because I'm assimilating the colors and the designs, and I'm still going. I'm going to be 70 years old in about 3 or 4 weeks, and I feel like a kid. So this is where I got the positivity from. And every time I come on the show, Teresa, you reinforce it.
I love you, Peter.
I
I
love
feel
you
like
too.
the community that we've created reinforces to us, or compounds, I'll say compounds us in the positivity that we've embodied. So Jay, just a little bit of background. Peter and I have been friends for a while, and our conversations would go everywhere. Psychic, Atlantis, daily news. We just talked multiple days throughout the week, every week. And I said, Peter, our conversations sound like a podcast. We should start making a podcast, because I think that our conversations, we just talk in the podcast all the time. And the information we have is really great. And normally Ash is on, and Haley's going to be on with us in like 1 minute. And, it would just be bouncing ideas around and having these conversations. And then we met Denise and Val and Andrea and so many, Nilda, so many friends that we have online, part of our online community. And we just share. We share stories. We share information. We share inspirational things. We share, hey, there's this phraseology about what it, here's this phraseology about different spiritual subjects. Like, that's right. Val was saying, like, yeah, the crew. These different phraseologies about things. So, like, for instance, and I'm going to add Haley in. Hi, Haley.
Hi.
Chris, one of my friends, Chris, and I were talking about power last night, and he said, so many people say, stand in your power. But what does it really mean? What does it mean to stand in your power? Like, how do I make sense of that? And we were ping-ponging it back and forth. And he said, for me, instead of having this, and I'm just going to say this in a little bit of a weird way. I feel like the terminology spiritual person, there's a sacred spirituality that we use to honor the sacred. And then there's a commercialized spirituality. And I feel like that means that we're going to have to use extra discernment to decide, is this commercialized sacred spirituality, or is this genuine divine connection spirituality?
That word means a lot. The discernment means a lot. But keep going. I don't want you to
okay. So we're going to use discernment to decide. And we said there's so many different people, so many different collectives. There are, we don't all live on Long Island, but a lot of us do. And living on Long Island, there are so many different tribes or people or groups that you could affiliate yourself to. And this is the same thing for every state. There's just a horse of a different color all over the world. Underneath all the egos and the experiences and the variable dimensions and energies that you could be in or plug yourself into, there is a pervading love that is constantly there. So it's up to you to stand in that love. And say, this is my grounding point, because our high selves, our connection to source, is constantly standing in that space of the highest good for us, in which allows it, as it stands in the highest good for us, it also puts us in win-win-win-win-win situations with the people who surround us. And that alignment for us to all be here right now means that on an independent way, we plugged into love. And then when we all come in here together, we're here in alignment, sharing that love and having that conversation. And to me, that is the epitome of being in oneness with sacred love. There's no facade. There's no salesmanship in it. There's no pretending to be things that we're not. We're all here with our hearts open, loving each other, honoring each other, bringing in all the wonderful attributes of what it means to be us and to be together, and saying, well, here's this community. And I feel like when you are heart-centered, it generates the feeling of, I like Jay's word he's been using lately, fellowship, friendship,
yeah.
and fellowship. And this is, to me, what it means to celebrate life. This, to me, is what it means to walk in power and oneness, is to absorb the greatness that life is through the ability to love each other, to have give and take. Whoever feels like jumping in, please do. Otherwise,
I have to unfortunately leave. It's a wonderful show, but I have to get certain things done, and I'm sorry we started so late. I apologize, but I want you to carry on, dear, and I want to wish everybody a wonderful Christmas. And I'll see everybody before New Year's. But yeah, I promised that I would.
I know you did, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
about the tech issue that we had, but
Honey, it couldn't be prevented. I just want everybody to know here, I'm sending love to everybody. I think you're all amazing souls, and I feel very humbled to be here with all of you and celebrating who you are and what you are. So thank you for being on. And my love to all of you, Teresa, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
all right,
God
sounds
bless.
good. Thank you, Peter. I love
Thank
you.
you.
I'll talk to you
Love
tomorrow.
you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He's so amazing. He's literally like the brightest person I've ever met in my life.
He's so wonderful. So, the concept of sacred love or sacred spirituality versus commercialized spirituality. Someone want to jump in on that?
So give me some details and some facts on what you feel commercial spirituality is. There's a commercial, like I don't know of it. Give me some knowledge.
Okay. All right. So the first reference point that I think would come to mind, and I'm not selecting anyone to draw attention to, it's just my vantage point. So for me, when I started working with crystals when I was 5 years old, and I'm 37 now. So that's a decent, and I mean, I started working 2-3 years old. My aunt had crystals, and I would be walking around with hers in hand. So I feel like this is a lifelong journey between me and crystals. And when I started to notice as I was growing up, going through meeting vendors and people who had stores, is probably preteens into being a teenager, these stores that had teachers, people who were part of like the old shell of what it meant to work with crystals, were closing up. They were falling away. And these new line of metaphysical stores emerged. And they've always been perceived as a spiritual hub or some reflection to the spiritual. But when I would go in and I would speak to these people, they were selling crystals based only on metaphysical properties. Or you could go in, you can get a singing bowl, a bundle of sage, a Jesus bracelet, a Krishna bracelet, maybe a rose quartz, a crystal. Okay, now what do you do with it when you go home? What are you wearing? What's the philosophy behind it? And then they started in the 1990s adding these little pieces of paper next to the crystals to tell you the metaphysical properties of what those crystals mean. Rose quartz is for love, and black tourmaline is for protection, and selenite is for clearing. But there's so much more to crystals than these metaphysical properties. There's independent energy signatures on every little piece of crystal, whether it's a giant boulder or a cut small piece. So like, and I relate this to reading different articles, dealing with different people. Oh, we're having a sacred ceremony. It's a sacred ceremony. You're throwing around the word sacred. You've used it 35 times in a paragraph, but like sacred is sacred. When we really make connection, and Haley, you and I were talking about this earlier, there's a difference between connecting to something from an intellectual ideology and then really feeling it. And I feel like that nuance is something that I would love to see people wake up to that and to absorb it. Like the idea of confidence versus the feeling of confidence, and that they're two different things. Jay?
I have a question. So yeah, it's just
Okay.
a question. So the meaning of sacred means almost like not hidden, but like it's just for those that circumstance. So to present it to like a figure or a bigger situation, is it then sacred because now everyone has a piece of it? Everybody's energy kind of gets involved. That's the question.
I mean, these are why I like to have these conversations break open, because like, you know, when I think about sacred, my vantage point of sacred is like, you can have sacred inside of a community, but I just feel like so many people now, it's like when you use the word amazing, that's amazing. And I'm referencing this because I watched this woman do a presentation on words and diction. And she was like, amazing. How many times do you hear the word amazing put out there? Oh, that's amazing. Oh, you got but she goes, think about what amazing really means. It's the capturing the feeling of being amazed. And think about the times that you've used the word amazing. She goes, are you really amazed that somebody got a new job? Are you really amazed that somebody had something good happen for them? But if you're going to use words like amazing to celebrate someone's new job, what happens when you have a divine interaction that leaves you speechless? What word are you applying to that?
Not amazing. Not
Awestruck.
amazing.
You know, because she said we use these words that are bigger to emphasize the positivity that we feel, but when we bring that back, what words are we holding aside to describe this bigger experience?
I think we've been saying it frequently, is that word love is a big deal. So love, words of love would be words of what? Affirmation. So I really feel like affirmation on the circumstance is a big deal. So once you see something, if you could describe an affirmation, that experience, I think that's the description right there. That's
I agree.
And I was going to say with sacred, in regards to that, like sacred is an experience. You don't need to state that something is sacred. You feel its presence. And that's what makes it sacred, because it doesn't need to be spoken. It's like a collective, all of a sudden the people in the area or the space itself, it just feels a different way. The vibration is different. So you don't actually have to say something is sacred. And if you are putting the label sacred, it's taking away from the experience of sacred.
Right.
And also just to go back with the crystals and the way that things shifted, it's taking away. So in the example you stated with the rocks being out, and then, you know, the crystals being out, and then putting the little tags with the metaphysical properties, that is taking away the person who is seeking the vibration of the crystal. It's taking away and distracting them from connecting to their inner knowledge, innate inner intuition, to know what vibration they need in a crystal. And then it's instead then putting the power in the person that is selling the crystal. But the power actually is in the person seeking that crystal wants to be with that person, that vibration. They're ready for it. And the vibrations will harmonize. But then a person inserting themselves, trying to, you know, either a person or a book or anything, a definition, saying this is what this crystal is, it's it's really trying to skip over to create that commercial. That's to me the commercialism, like you were saying. Like you do
Right.
need a guide. Sometimes people need a guide or a meditator. Teresa, I've seen you in your work. When a customer walks up and they don't have the language for what they're seeking because they're new to learning the language of crystals and understanding what they do, but they know they're ready because they're drawn to the table. And then Teresa will allow for a space for a meditative exercise where then they connect and they trust their intuition, and she's there to support them on that journey as a guide. But really it's about the energy and the frequency of the crystal and the person, and that the person is ready for that to come in. But it might even be to increase their intuition, and what better way to do that than to experience intuition by innately feeling which crystal feels right. How does it make you feel is always what you say. And I love
That's
that
right.
because not a lot of people present it that way, because it can be very commercial and very salesy. Like, you know, oh, you're looking for love. Here's some rose quartz that's going to help you with it. Oh, you have an issue with somebody, here, get some black tourmaline and like protect yourself. And those may be true, but that might not actually be the vibration that they're seeking for the balance.
Right.
I have a question. So a lot of stuff I've noticed, and not all the time is it always about touch or words that come out to make someone want different things to help their frequencies grow or stop frequencies. So when we touch things, is there any times when someone would touch a crystal and that frequency stays with that, and then someone else touches it and they feel that frequency from the last person? Question.
That can happen. You do want to clear your crystals in between, but for the most part, crystals won't really take on energy. You can set intentions in them, but they tend to. So I think foundationally, there's a science and we'll call it spirituality, a spirit and energy to it. And you're uniting these two things together, or these things are symbiotic in the same time inside that crystal. The difference between a crystal and a rock is that a crystal has a repeating crystalline structure, sacred geometry. How do we explain that? We still don't even have an explanation for why that happens, other than some kind of divine force that makes that so. A rock's internal structure, it looks like an explosion. It's a scattered structure, and it doesn't waver. So the first primary thing that we look at foundationally to tell the difference between a rock and a crystal is the crystal has that repeating structure, and the rock is all sorts of, sixes and sevens spontaneous. So that right there tells you that something beautiful is going on in the very makeup. And a pyrite usually gets created in squares. Others create natural points. If we could understand that the same way that we grow in all shapes and sizes and are born with all of our attributes internally and externally, and that's what makes us fundamentally who we are sacred. The crystal being born and shaped by the earth, it's earth, pressure, water, time, elements unique to the indigenous environment that they come from, compounded, water, heat, pressure, all these elements are coming together to even make this beautiful structure, this timeless structure, what it is. The earth made this. These are the earth babies. And they pack all these different beautiful features into one beautiful capsule that you get to hold in your home or put on your chest or whatever the case may be. So I think we really need to fundamentally backtrack. This is just on crystals, but it does pertain to everything else. That come back and backtrack too. Every time you interact or merge with a crystal, you are really coming into a doorway into between a relationship between you and Gaia, you and the earth. It's the same thing when you go out and you lay down on the ground outside or you hug a tree. We are making communion. And then the crystal, the unique thing about the crystal is that it is a channel between a divine energy and us, because not only is it amplifying, not only is it holding all the little tidbits of yumminess that came out of the earth to make it, it's a repeating crystalline structure that no one can explain. The same way we can't explain pyramids, there's something else wonderful that we can't explain about crystals, but we know they're there. So to me, to see these pieces come together and say, wow, look at this. If we just look at these fundamental pieces, these little principles, not even a whole conversation, that to me is what is sacred about working with crystals. Now we get into the other stuff. I'm not saying metaphysical properties aren't true, but they're not all that is. I could say Haley, Jay, and I are creative, kind, authentic, honest, loving, but we're not all the same. Yeah. We could be a basket of rose quartz right now, and we'd be 3 different pieces of rose quartz, but we're not all the same. Right. Jay's going to strike people that Haley and I might not. Haley's going to, hit people that Jay and I might not. And this is what I would love for people to understand about crystals, is that these individual energies have a different resonance point and strike us depending on where we're at in the moment, where we're going, what we're in the process of working on. They're creating energetic differences in all of our bodies, because we're not just one body. We're physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, psychic, auric. We are multi-dimensional beings. And I feel like that's why it's so important sometimes to come into the groundwork or the first step and what we build on, because a lot of times when we have spiritual conversations, we're coming in sideways to some part of the conversation. Like earlier I mentioned, what does it mean to stand in your power? And then we're creating an intellectual concept of it rather than feeling it. But I feel like if you want to get in touch with what's sacred, it's something you have to feel, not think. So metaphysical properties, even if they act as a guide, and I'm not making anybody into a nefarious individual, what I am saying is that we've thrown around a lot of ego in situations and then equated ego and sacred and mashed that together. And to me, that's what creates commercialism. Okay, rose quartz is for love, black tourmaline is for protection, garnet is for money. If we can move out of these metaphysical properties just a little bit, if we could just make them not all that is, and say, each crystal has an energy, what does it make you feel? Now you're being guided. Instead of making a prescription-based ideology around crystals, if I'm in a relationship and I just had a breakup and I'm going through a hard time, and I know rose quartz is for love, I need a rose quartz. How do you need a rose quartz? Because there's been plenty of opportunities in my professional career working with crystals where I've seen a person walk in and the crystal, I can hear it, see it, feel the energy. It kicks on. It's like, ooh, and it's not a rose quartz. It's a tiger's eye. So I go, why do you want the rose quartz? Well, my cousin said, my friend said, my brother said, someone said I need rose quartz because I'm in the middle of going through a tumultuous relationship and I need rose quartz because rose quartz is for love. Concept, intellect, concept, belief system, commercialization.
That's like saying I'm hungry, right? So I'm gonna go see a chef. Okay, rose quartz, a chef.
Right.
What are they gonna make you? Like, is it gonna be Italian food? Is it gonna be Thai food? It's very different. But I mean,
right.
They're all chef. So it's like that vibe, and also it's not the crystal they're seeking as much as the vibration, which can be varying. So you're seeking love and people just immediately kicked the label, okay, rose quartz is for love. There are so many crystals. So if you're working with your heart chakra, you're going to have a very different experience if you have rose quartz next to it or if you have malachite next to it. One's like a sledgehammer to try and break up blockages, and it's going to be a very different visual experience. And then the other is going to be a very soft, nurturing, may or may not be what vibration they're seeking in order to make the progress to raise that chakra or that vibration.
Yes, but a rose quartz can really hit you like a sledgehammer. And that's what people don't realize. Jay?
So Haley was the one talking, so I was trying to give it to her, but I'll give it to both of you guys. Is there ever a time when you had a comparison of frequency between an actual crystal and a person?
Yes, all the time.
Like the exact thing, like it's very similar, like you could call them that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
like Haley, it's like when I called you and said I have this rose quartz necklace and it's you in crystal form, and we need to meet up so I can give it to you.
And initially I was like, rose quartz, because that tends to be one that I don't necessarily resonate with. But then damned if I didn't put the necklace on, and I was like, ooh, okay. And you do that too. I noticed at our show that we were doing earlier. She would see and sense vibrations of crystals from people that were walking up, and she would say, ooh, are you looking for a labradorite? You know, or like it was like she would just get this intuitive, and I feel like that was frequency, like you reading the frequency of the person walking up, and it's almost like seeing the crystal because that crystal matches. And how many times where we would tweak or touch a crystal on the table, and then all of a sudden the person would go poop right to that. And
right to that particular one.
And it's because you sense, I feel like you sense, like the tuning forks, you put them next to each other, and it's like they start like,
yeah, exactly.
Everything wants to equal out. So when something is equal, like it just, I don't know, you can experience it, you can feel it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I've experienced twin souls walk around, and it's like it was a feeling that like I couldn't even fathom that these two people were not together. They weren't like friends. They didn't know each other, and it was just like I watched them, and I was like, that person doesn't know that person. No, they don't know each other. Are you sure? And then like I look at that stuff, and it comes in regards to the crystals because it's the same thing. It's like there's a frequency that just hits each other. It's like, oh, it's the frequency. They have similar. So I'm learning a lot with you guys. Thank you very much for having me on. This is beautiful.
I'm so glad that you're here. So just to, I didn't try to make it all about crystals, because really the heart of it is about spirituality. I mean, the positivity. But I feel like the reason I bring up the point of commercial sacredness versus sacredness is how we think about things. And, I feel like in the spiritual communities I meet, one thing that I like to keep in mind is that somebody's concept or ideology of spirituality is based on their experience. What do they know? What have they been taught? Did their parents teach it to them? Are they on a path of self-discovery? Did they have a teacher? Where's the teacher from? There's humanness in all of it all. And when we really want to strive to experience something powerful and sacred, we go beyond the humanness. We go to the soul. We go to the connection of source. And how do we connect to source? Because my whole thread in this story is that connecting to source in a very powerfully authentic way is where we find our positivity, is where we find our sacredness. And that could happen in a whole bunch of different ways. Friends, crystals, being in nature, hugging a tree, laying on the ground, standing in the sun, swimming in the water. But isn't it interesting that so many of the ways that we can connect authentically to the sacred is by communing with each other and nature, which is the most pure essence of what we know source to be on this planet Earth. Okay, mic drop. I'm done. Someone take over.
I just like visualize that. Like, yes, because we're not from the earth. Like we are experiencing earth and this sense of duality and all of these different things. But then the crystals are like the anchor to try and like keep us here too, in a way, because
they're teachers.
Yeah, they teach us, they guide us, because I saw it.
It says we're not from the earth, but we're here on the earth.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like to keep my toes in the ground, dirt, put them in there, root through. Go on, Teresa.
No, that's fine. Please take
you're
that.
Rooting.
Yeah.
It's the tree roots.
Yeah.
So I want to bring this back to a place of, you have not watched our podcast. You didn't know. We only actually just met Jay a couple weeks ago, but we have just absolutely been adoring him and our energy. He reached out to us in regards to the metaphysical mixer. We spoke on the phone for hours, and it's the same way, the way that we all find each other to be here. Denise, Val, Haley, Ash, we find each other and we go, oh, you, I recognize you. You're part of the tribe. The tribe knows when the tribe finds a tribe member, and we bring the tribe into the fold. So
I see it.
oh, you can see there's a thread of energy here. And that's what I mean about the love. The love recognizes the love. So being that you don't know much about our podcast, what I will ask you about is the experience that you've had so far, being part of the event or being part of, interacting with us. How has it connected into your journey? The same way I just said tribe recognizes tribe, we recognize you.
Thank you so much.
It's easy to see. But
I'm humbled just from what you're saying. It means a lot. Being in a community and a life of love with God, my family's full of people that are mediators and they're able to see things. And hearing you and talking with you guys, it really hit my heart when you talked and your affirmations, and it built character in everything I've been walking through in the last couple of weeks differently. It's hard to let things out sometimes, and it's easier when you have good people around to give you that love, to be like, wait a minute, I feel that. I'm allowed to feel that. I don't need to hide that. And that's something that I didn't have before I met you, Teresa. I want to say thank you. I didn't think I ever said thank you about that yet. So I want to say thank you very much.
Aw, you're totally welcome.
And I here, but sometimes it can't go there, It has to share.
It's incredibly, no, I'm not going to say amazing. It's incredible when you experience, again, about experiencing things, when you experience someone holding space. And I think that's what Teresa does really well. I know that is, it's, and when you meet somebody that's able to hold space for you to experience and feel the things that you haven't been allowing to the surface that other people see, that's very special and very powerful for cathartic experiences, for processing things that are happening, for even like immediately shifting. I had an experience today and I was down one track and an ego kicked on and was like, hey, how's it going? Hey. And then it was like, I could have gotten stuck into that, but then Teresa allowed for holding space that I was able to process and get a couple things out, but also then immediately see, okay, yeah, no, this is ego. I'm in ego right now. I'm in victim. And that's not
but
where
we all have it, right? Every one of us.
Yeah, because that's the nature of being on Earth and the duality. That's the experience that we signed up for.
Mm-hmm. Once we accepted life, that was it. That was it. Ego came in. We had everything in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a mixed bag. But what I said to Haley earlier is that knowing at all these pieces intellectually only benefits us if we use it. But when it's only an intellectual level deep, we don't utilize it as our knee-jerk reaction because it's an intellectual thought, not a feeling, because the feeling is what creates the experience, and the experience creates the, oh my God, wow, that worked. Oh my God, wow, that feels great. Okay, wow, I know the difference. We need to have the feeling of it so we could create the habit of it, so it becomes our knee-jerk reaction. Because what good is something we intellectually know that we won't use? So when I created this podcast in mind with the power of positivity being the verbiage to it, to me, the power of positive, and Chris actually inspired me. So thanks, Chris, because I know you're listening somewhere.
Thanks, Chris.
We love you, Chris. So, we were talking last night. We were saying, fundamental stuff, get into the birth ground, when the seed becomes, oh, it's up, tree. When the seed becomes the tiny plant and it sprouts a leaf and it sprouts another leaf, it does it because it's in alignment with what it means to be alive. And the reason why it's able to keep going and build a stem and offshoot and have exponential growth is because it was life. Like, if you think about manifestation, the source and the multiverse are responding to how you feel, not what you say, not what you intellectually think. And that's where the matches come from. So we want to be able to utilize the power of our God-given sacredness, our source-given sacredness, and combine with other things that are sacred. So if we understand when it comes to manifestation, the multiverse delivers what we feel, our using the power of positivity is to get real about who we are and how we commune with ourselves, so that we understand that when we walk in the world authentically, we attract and are able to easier identify tribe versus not tribe. And it's not to discount anyone that's not tribe, because in my world it's really awake versus still sleeping. You could still be sleeping, it doesn't make you a bad person, but I want to be awake. That's my general rule of thumb for myself. And it doesn't mean I'm free from ego. My ego kicks on, my humanness shows up. But every time it shows up, I look at it and I say, "Oh, who let you in the room? Who did you want to get in here?"
Because you have consciousness levels, yeah.
We're not going to talk about the experience of what happened, but I think it takes a strong experience to really subdue that whole thing. Like, you have to go through something that's going to say, wait a minute, I need to wake up, like, and physically wake up, but mentally and spiritually wake up as well.
I have to say, I kind of wish Peter was still on. I keep missing him, but as you were talking and explaining that, I know I'm gonna catch him at some point. But as you were explaining that, I'm actually seeing the first 4 of the zodiac, and there's the progression, the like Aries, the I am, the Taurus I have, the Gemini I think, and the Cancer I feel. And you need all 4 of the elements, and then they repeat the elements in different varying levels and different
Aries is the I am. The Aries is the I am.
Aries is I am, is the initiator. And that progression is what you were just explaining too, about fully understanding something, because first you have to know who you are, and then you have to look at the what is it that I have, and then you think about it and you have that thought, but then in order to integrate that thought, you need the experience of what do I feel, or how do what happens when I feel that. And then when you have the thought and the feeling, that's the alchemical reaction that happens to integrate that into your experience, to understand it. So a lot of times we think that, by thinking myself too, majority of my life, I was like very in my head, very intellectual. And I'm like, okay, like if I can just understand how, the definitions and this, that, and the other. I was an English major. I'm like, if I can just understand everything, I'm good. That's very much not true. And then you have that, like, what do they say? Oh my gosh, the 2 ways of like, where there's like street knowledge and book knowledge,
Oh,
it's kind of like that, marrying the 2 ideas. Yeah. Book smart and street smart. It's like you need to have the experiences and you need to have the knowledge. And then once you have that, the reaction is then it's just this, and that's kind of where the sacred is. So it takes all,
take the streets,
creates that. Yeah. And it takes all of the 4 elements, again, wrapping back into earth, because our experience here is very much about earth. It's about crystals, it's about grounding, it's about connecting, it's about the elements. And it's interesting that all of those things are interwoven into how to actually really feel and experience and then shift something. Because once you've experienced, it's one thing to say, I'm positive, or I feel positive. You can think about positivity, and then you can experience positivity, and then you're like, oh, I understand this now. And then you can start being, acting from that experience. And then it doesn't mean you're not going to like ego check, you're going to all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, I'm back in ego. I'm not experiencing it, but you feel the dissonance now because you've experienced the frequency of that. And that's what's so, I love the element. I love all the elements and the talking about the elements. That is so my jam. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Chris says to me, so first, the first question is, because we're preparing for shadow work and surrender. That's going to happen on December 29th. And we're talking about spiritual concepts. And we've had a lot of discussion about this lately. And it's like, what does it mean to stand in your power? And then there was another one too, where it's like, I'm just trying to think of it on the fly and my brain is blanking right now. But, he was talking about bringing back, the power of positivity is in what you feel. And when that's it. Spiritual bypassing. where he said, I deny my feelings, and he's, you're saying I'm fine even if you don't feel fine. And people are using spiritual bypassing and then people are kind of making fun of spiritual bypassing because they're saying, I feel fine, I'm fine, everything's great, love and light, I have no shadow, everything's cool. But then you're not acknowledging the authentic aspect of you that is hurt and needs to integrate. So I said, oh, wow, I never, okay. He's like, can you explain how what you talk to me about with positivity is different than the spiritual bypassing? And I was like, white on rice. Absolutely. No problem. Spiritual bypass is using terminology or using the intellect to say, I'm in a positive position. Everything is okay. I'm completely fine. I don't have to integrate or take in or sort out what happened. I'm just going to use positive language and positive thinking to override it. But then you're denying an aspect of yourself and you're creating resistance because you have not brought all of you along for the ride.
That's right.
The difference of spiritual bypass and the power of positivity is that power of positivity says, okay, I have had an experience, and it is a mixed bag of experience, some of which I did not want, some of which I did attract, a lot of which you did attract. What do I have to learn from this? That is the first step that we can say of being in this situation. What do I have to learn? The second or the next step is first to realize or recognize who you are. I'm a sacred being. And when you really take into consideration what it means to be sacred, you will give yourself honor and reverence. And now, even in this situation, no matter what it is that you've experienced, you're going to have an easier feeling navigating it when you really plug into the feeling, the knowing that you are sacred, and that the sacred, regardless of what you go through, is around you, vibrating around you every minute of every day. Now you have a place to plug into. Then, as you're navigating the situation, let's say it's traumatic, because my experience with this firsthand was I had a traumatic situation that happened at night, and I couldn't deal with going out at night after it happened. A year and a half later, a year or so later, I was like, I can't live this way. I don't want to live this way. I don't want to not be able to have control over my own life because of what happened here. So my friend and I said, I need to go to the beach. I need to clear myself, and I need to take my power back. So we go to the beach, and the day is becoming night, and my anxiety and panic are heightening. But I plugged into the fact that I'm sacred, and that the same source that governs me is the same source that lives within the external. And I just kept breathing in source. I just kept sitting on the beach and breathing in source. I am source, and source is me, and source is around me. And if I can survive, I can rewrite the narrative in my brain, plugging into what is truly sacred. And then as we're deciding to walk back to the car, because it's gotten to a certain point, and I'm still in this agone between sacredness and the biological panic that wants to have a free-for-all, I say to my friend, how do you overcome, in your opinion, a traumatic situation? How do you not let it run your life? And he has been walking forward. He has not looked out to the sky on our left-hand side. I'm watching him walk forward because I'm watching the back of his head as he's walking in front of me. And it was like a merge of beautiful divinity and his own spiritual essence. And he turns and he points to the sky. He goes, you see the sky over here? What happens in life is that most people look at these big bulbous gray clouds, and you see how there's a sliver of sky in between them. That sliver of sky represents the sky that those clouds live in, the sky that's behind them. But most people, when they go through trauma or something hurtful, only focus on the clouds, and they give so much life to the clouds that they lose sight of the sky behind them. So now it's up to you to make a choice. What are you going to breathe life into, the clouds or the sky? And that was really all I needed to change the volume and the narrative. And instead of the trauma running my life, I said, okay. And it clicked right away. And I kept focusing on the sliver of sky, and I felt I immediately got in tune with the sky. And I just I visualized what it must feel like to be the moon in the sky, what it must feel like to be the sun in the sky, what it must feel like to be a bird in the sky, what it must feel like to just feel the sky and understand that clouds are going to come and go and nature's going to happen the same way stuff happens in our life. But the sky is this infinite, eternal thing. It lasts both in the night and the day. So how could I give my power away to something transient when there's something eternal for me to plug into that's constantly offering its life to me? And it changed everything about my life.
The way that you are explaining that too, and the way that you see it's just so, it's like boop boop boop, everything's clicking. So you essentially did exposure therapy for yourself in that situation, which is like putting yourself in the fire. They always say, like, you know, you jump right into the fire then. So there's your fire. You're taking the action. You're doing the thing. You're sitting on the beach, the ground, the earth. And then you are using the water energy around you from the ocean to process. And then you're looking at the sky and the clouds and the wind and the air. And it's again, like, it's that like interconnectedness of all of these things in order to like heal. Like, I really do feel you need all of the elements kind of working together in order to like really, I don't know.
I had to go to the beach. I don't know what it was, because I could have went to the forest. I could have went anywhere. I could have went in my front yard, but I had to be on the beach, and I had to be on the beach I grew up in. And and it felt sometimes, because where I grew up, it's a smorgasbord of energy, but it's like, I felt like it even added, like there was the serenity of it, but it was also like the, you know, if we had went and a werewolf started howling at the moon, it wouldn't be a surprise, you know? Like, I felt like I really needed to put myself in that situation to just be like, oh, I really got to give myself to the like there's a Native American ceremony called the Night of the Bat, and essentially they dig a hole and they bury you in that hole, and you have to lay there for 3 days and 3 nights. And it is, you know, if you come, you know, if your tribe members come back and you're still alive at the end of day 3, they dig you out, and it's supposed to symbolize the death of an old you and the birth of a new you. And they did it to create bravery among their tribe. And to me, that was my Night of the Bat, so that I could come out of my trauma and take myself back. Because why should anything in life get to have my life? Why should it be, you know, then I'm a shell of who I am and I'm not doing nothing for nobody. And I don't really want to walk around as a shell. I want to walk around with my cup full. And I feel like it's nights like my personal Night of the Bat that allows me to hold space for other people and say, you're actually okay. You're just working up to your Night of the Bat. And it's when you get on the other side of it. And then the Night of the Bat is not for the faint of heart. You have to be willing to face all of it, the shadow, the light, and surrender to the sacred to make that transformation. And to me, that's why I take it, I don't want to say personally, because I think that comes from ego, but I have such a reverence for what is sacred that that is why in the beginning of this conversation, I create a distinction between there's commercialized sacredness and then there is true, authentic sacredness. Like even my teacher, Nancy, her teacher said, I hate the word spirituality because so many people manipulate that word. We think about in the Western culture where spirituality really emerged, and a lot of it became somebody wants to put money in their pocket, somebody else's guru. In order for somebody to be the guru, somebody else needs a follower, and you're taking power away from people to give power to people, and blah blah. You know, part of what brought me into Buddhism to begin with is that Buddha wanted to give power back to the people. And whether it's Buddha or Jesus Christ or Muhammad, they're saying you don't need to pay someone else for it. You don't need to go to the Brahmin to be able to get the blessing you need. You can go right to God because God's living inside. Yeah, what's up, people? You know,
every single one of them say that.
What did you say?
Every single deity has said that. Every single one.
Every single one. And I feel like when we, if we're going to really embody what it means to be sacred or to use the power of positivity, it's that we're going to understand that regardless of what we experience, what am I learning? Why am I going through it? How did I attract it to myself? How can I plug into the sacred? Okay, if God is love and love is real and love is the answer and love is all there is, then I know the answer. So how do I navigate the question part? How do I navigate the experience part? And I will tell you, I have had many nights of the bat where I literally have said, okay, Source, walk me through this night. Source, guide me to my truth. Show me who I am. Show me the truth of the situation. Show me what to see. Show me the cooperative component I am. Show me how to turn negative to positive, dark to light. Show me how to walk in my light. Show me my light. Show me his, her, them light. Show me the light. Show me what it means to love. Show me what it means to be my highest good. Because the only aspect of mentorship that I have in my life is to emulate my own high self. Is to
and just
emulate.
be prepared. You're going to go like this, but that whole thing is a roller coaster ride. Be prepared for that.
Of course it is. You know, but I think that's the difference between having the sacred bypass or spiritual bypass that people are talking about, where it's fine, and how we come to understand that. Because as I'm explaining this way to navigate it by merging with the sacred, what I now know is that the sacred is in all things at all times. It's where I'm plugging in. It's how much investment and power and focus am I giving any one thing. And the more power I give it, the more it's going to trip me up. But the more I try to spiritual bypass it, the more resistance I'm going to build. And now I'm going to be all over the place. So when I stand in my power and I take my power back, the reason I am capable of doing that, or the reason why it works, is because I'm saying I am Source. And Source is going to guide me. Source is going to be my guiding light. And I'm so trusting and knowing that Source is and will be my guiding light, that this is not a practice of spiritual bypass, but it is an honor to the reverence that is what is sacred, that I'm saying I give my attention to what's sacred, and I acknowledge that whatever this thing is transient. And it comes back into the fold of manifestation too. I'm going through a situation. I don't like what just came to me. Okay, great. But wait, pause. Now is next. That's the mantra. Every single second that you're in, you are the past, present, and future simultaneously. The situation that you're standing in could have only been possible by what was created in the past. And in the same exact second that past is coming to fruition in your physical, is your opportunity to use the same exact second you're standing in to create the experience that you want to go forward. So even if I walked out of my house and I went to my car and I stepped in a pile of poo, and oh my God, I'm running late, and I stubbed my toe on my bed, and I didn't eat breakfast, and my Pop-Tart was burnt, and I couldn't even blah, 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 and we started the chaos early in the morning, the second my foot is in the pile of poo, now is next. Okay, this is a really good reminder. I need to take a breath. Maybe I need to tell my boss I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Maybe I need to take a time to dictate the way the rest of my morning is going to go. Maybe this is a reminder that I woke up and I forgot to pray, or I wasn't intentional. I'm going to walk in the house. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to pop in a new Pop-Tart. I'm going to clean up my shoe. I'm going to, wipe off the majority and leave my shoe in the tub, and I'll get back to it later today. And I'll wear this other pair of shoes that was better for me anyway. How you respond to the situation is where your power is going to be. And this is the power of positivity. I have the ability to be a creator that creates my experiences and how I respond to them, not the ego I have the potential to react from them from. And the more you do this, the more you compound the habit of doing this. And then the habit becomes the knee-jerk response to any and all situations.
And we're constantly in ego. So it's like you have to constantly keep retelling yourself this on a regular basis. And after you get to a certain point, you'll be able to get a trend. But still, it'll be constant. Ego will always be a part of us. I really, truly feel that way, because we have, if it's a small piece of pride or a large piece, we still have that piece of us that says, I did this, instead of saying we did this. The we disappears a lot of the time because we see that we did it by our own hands, but that wasn't my hand that made this. And I have to be understanding of that. I didn't make this. What happened was the people in that room gave me the essence to help build that. And that's really the key. Right now, the show, I didn't make the show. You didn't. We made the show. It's your show, but we make the show whatever the essence is for that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we start looking at it as, like you said, less of the ego and more of this oneness, this tribe, it's going to really bring on a better opportunity for people in general, for human beings, even for animals, for the rocks, the crystals, for everything.
Well, this is what it means to be in co-creation or co-collaboration, where, you know, we're understanding, like people say, well, there's never going to be such a thing as world peace because nobody can get along and blah, 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 whatever belief system. But on the other side of that is that if we all already know that we are oneness, then it's not about what we think. It's not the belief it's not the belief in separation that is the truth. It's the oneness that's the truth. And how do we adjust our belief systems to organically and path of least resistance, no resistance, to get into a groove where we can be peaceful. Nancy said it the other night on Light Up Zen Life, where it's like people expect world peace, but they don't know how to be peaceful inside. We're never going to get to world peace if we can't figure out how to find what peace means for our own self.
So the stabilized name that I use for my artwork was the I am. But that doesn't mean that I am. It's giving up being the I. Using the words I am, it's not to say, oh, I am this, I am that. No, it's to give up the I am. If you give up saying it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me, the ego then disappears. The humbleness starts coming in. The people that are humble like you will be present. The ego ones will come in too. But the problem is, by leadership, those egotistical circumstances then change. The frequency changes. Then all the egos start disappearing and the we start happening. So
right.
That's why.
God, sorry. I was going to say, it's the consciousness that builds. You know, like I didn't learn these things overnight. I've had a teacher, an amazing teacher, who I have the luxury of sharing for the 14 years almost. And aside from that, the soul, I have the source that creates my soul, the soul that came into this time-space reality, the soul that's encoded with all the knowledge of all my life, my high self that guides me, my non-physical beings that surround me, that helped me to stay connected as a child and beyond. And then all the people, places, and things. I am a quilt. I am a co-collaboration of everyone who has touched my life, for better, for worse, for if they did a great thing, if they did a crappy thing. It was my opportunity and my honor to learn from all people around me to decide what this tapestry should be made out of, how it should look, and how it keeps myself and others warm. I just have to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like always, my easiest way to navigate my life is by saying thank you. Because even when I'm in the most heightened state of ego or frustration, my way of coming down is to say thank you. Thank you, God, for making me who I am. Thank you, God, for showing me that you exist. Thank you, God, for being alive and real. Thank you, God, for knowing I'm part of you. Thank you, God, for putting me in this situation. This is not a challenge. It's an opportunity. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow. Thank you for being the sandpaper. Nobody likes sandpaper. But most people forget to thank sandpaper because it's the sandpaper that makes us who we are.
I love
What did you say?
I do a lot with sandpaper. I can sand down stuff. I can paint things. You don't like it when I'm using the bathroom. That's not okay. You can't use sandpaper.
No, that's not going to work. So we have like a staple couple questions, Jay, that we didn't get to ask you yet on this podcast, and one of them is I'm sorry. I'm going to ask the one before the other.
You made me cry a lot previous to this. I'm just letting you know. So I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm like, don't do it.
So the question is, what are some of the most important things in your life that you have learned that you would like to share with others?
You didn't do it right away, huh? I just said no. Well, it's God. God comes first in my heart because God is love in every way possible. I know everyone takes it to a level where it's something different, where it's like, well, this is this, and it goes to this level. But when you see past the multiverse, past the universal flavor, past all the means of everything, I've walked with him now, and I feel beautiful. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I know a lot of people make that very big, like, oh, wow, he says like everybody else, take God first. No, it's a big deal to me. The second thing is my children. I love them with all my heart and soul. I built a life wanting to have them be my everything. And I knew that I had to put God first. And then put God first, guess what he said? To put myself in a place of tribal, of circumstances. And those two things established most of my heart to build everything I ever had. And I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm thankful for mostly all of it. The question again, because you got me all teary-eyed. I lost it.
So the question is, what are fundamental things that you've learned throughout your life experience that are important for people to know? What were things that were important to you to know? What makes Jay who Jay is?
Being a father. That was a big deal. Learning how to be a father was key to me. Literally a key promise to my life that built me to be humble enough to talk with people and not worry. I remember wiping a butt and being like, I can't go out the same way as I did before because I did this, but it's like, I have to. There's no choice. I have to do it. So it made me more humble, knowing like these things in life changed the opportunities. Helping take care of my brother and my mother. Those things were beautiful to me. It helped me recap life and psychologically and physically. I loved being with them growing up. It was just fun. My youngest brother and my mom. My dad structuralized my means to make those lines. He didn't throw at me, but he was like, do you really like what you did? Do you like it? And it makes me think like that. So it like gives you the corresponding things to be like, let's change outlooks every once in a while. Let's look at it this way and then look at it that way. Right. And it was really good because that kind of man, he taught me some valuable lessons. And one of them was never judge anyone for anything. Never. I'm not going to judge you for not one thing you did in your life. I'm going to see you for the present. And if you do something in that present that makes me sad or happy, that's my experience with you. And that was the most beautiful thing he ever did for me.
See, that's good advice. That's why we ask this question. People give good advice.
It's profound.
Oh, thank you. And I'll say this to anybody who's an artist on here right now. Do not stop. Any kind of artist. Do not stop. It's not just for yourself. It's for other people. It's for other spirits. I'll say it. I usually hide these things. I don't tell people about me being close. It's just the first time I think I've ever said it. There are spirits out there that need your love. And they're not able to open themselves up. And when they do it through you, not with you. And it sucks because you get captivated in it. And I want to thank God, thank the spirits that have taught me things, thank the people that gave me their energy. And these are things that helped motivate, build. And like I said, artists, please don't stop. My biggest thing, never stop, because you are the consciousness of everything, that creative. It's literally the key point to everything we do is creativity.
So our next question is, where do you go from here? Or do you have anything on the roster?
I have stuff on the roster.
From here?
I do have stuff on the roster. I'll be going into Maryland this weekend. I'll be doing these huge murals at a couple of breweries that are opening up in Hagerstown. Big breweries. They're like a big scene right now. So I'll be there. I already got a magazine digest in Baltimore for being a artist, and I'm looking to go back. From there, I was supposed to be in Windward this year. It didn't happen, so I'm looking forward to Windward going back probably midwinter or maybe next year. So I'm looking forward to traveling more, especially with the art supply store, and burning many, many, many pictures.
Fire is the beginning.
Attachment for that.
Fire is the
Feast. What is it? We have Feast for the Soul coming up too, and you're going to be a live artist in that, which I'm like super excited about. It's live art, live music, food that's going to be there. Like I said, we speak in that language of modalities, and when you jumped on to co-collaborate what we do forward into existence, it like, I don't even have words because I'm so grateful and so excited. And happy and relieved and supported, and I'm energized by the energy that you give. Like, it's so great to come together and collaborate with other creative people, because now it takes the birth canal of experience from just something that's solitary into something that's collaborative. And when, it's like when you're in school and you have to do a project and you work with 4 people, and 3 of those people or 2 of those people don't want to do the work and the other person does. I was always the person in school that was like, don't even worry about it. Don't even think about it. I'll just do the entire project for us to make sure all 4 of us get an A, because you affect me and I can't have less than an A. So please, God, I'll just take it here. I'll do the work for you. But like, as
just
an adult,
see this right here. Read this, see it, read it, read it.
Right. See it, read it. Let's take these points. But it took me a while to get like that. I wasn't always that student, but through experience, I started micromanaging. And as an adult, you realize that skill doesn't work. When you do take on everything to yourself, it doesn't feel good. You don't want to be the sole supporter of everything and everyone. And you like doing, part of the joy of life or celebrating life is not just what you create, but what the experience that you have with other people, how we get to love each other and experience each other.
I have a circumstance. I have an experience I want to tell you guys about. So there's a difference between leading and controlling.
Yes.
And in between these two things, there's a time when you can leave it to someone and let them try to build. Let the life just build and grow and make things happen. So, and then there's a time when you try to take the essence of it and try to make it something that you don't have any control of. And it's key to not take control of anything. And that's what I've learned. I've learned you could build it, but it's always going to become something that you don't even fathom at the end of the day. So that's why you got to let it build itself, grow itself, but be there to help when is asked. Because when you're able to give that extra information because it's chosen to be asked for, it just builds to something that you wouldn't even imagine, and it's even better.
It's exactly right. Val says like parenting, and I'm like, yeah, 1,000%. What are your feelings about Feast for the Soul?
My personal feelings?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be amazing because you told me a lot of secrets that are about to happen. Some sacred things we're going to take in the dark right now.
Got the exclusive deets.
Yeah, you guys are both going to be there. So we've been collaborating together. But
absolutely.
I love that the light went out.
You just like that was
all day. The lights.
I literally been with this forever.
We've been doing a show for the past 2
Wait,
days.
what was the bat? He's in the bat.
Yeah, he's in the night of the bat.
The night of the bat.
We've been doing a show.
Day 3.
Let there be light.
Right.
We've been doing a show for the past 2 days, and every time we would set up the table, certain people would come to the table. We would start to get meditating with the crystals that were on the table. The lights would go meow. Stop. We would put the crystals down and we would walk away, and the lights would go back to normal. And we were like, we are not going to touch the crystals no more.
I gotta say though, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. It's just like if it happens, it's just like okay, let's keep going, keep rolling.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that we're in a place of surrender, and I think that's key. And a lot of people don't see surrender; they see it's time, it's my time, it's my day. This is gonna be a new year. That new year is gonna be a lot of surrendering to get there. Because if you don't surrender, you're going to be an ego, and that's just going to put you in a place of scaredness. And we don't want to be scared.
That's right.
So all of you out there listening, don't be afraid of life and start surrendering to the right things and be humble.
That's a really great thing. I love that you landed on that in the way that you phrased it. Because like Nancy says all the time, fear leads to doubt, doubt leads to separation. And if there's any takeaway that comes from tonight, it's like when you accept the things that are right for your own soul, when you accept alignment, you enter into what is sacred. You accept your sacredness. And by, I like ego. edging God out. Every time we try to take a walk based on our own personality, or we try to handle things for ourselves in totality, I'm not saying that we don't have power. We have a lot of power. That's why we're co-creators with Source. But every time we try to take it on for ourselves and not invite Source into the situation, we're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff all over. But if we bring Source into the situation, and to me, that's a daily. First thing in the morning when I wake up, thank you, Source, I'm alive. Source, here's the day I want to have. Let me put my order in now. Let me get right now. I just opened my eyes. Let me get right, so that I can walk through the day with confidence that it's going to go right no matter what happens. So with that in mind, that process that I've created for myself, I feel like if we're going to have a podcast about the power of positivity, I want to make it clear that it's not about bypassing your emotions, denying your feelings of hurt, grievings, pain, whatever, but it's making a conscious choice not to sit in it and not to let it get rancid on you, because you are too precious. You are literally life in motion, here to have a life experience of what does it mean to be a sacred being in this time-space reality, and not just be the experiencer of what life hands you, but to put your special flavor into the life around you that allows for the expression of Source to come through you, because you have impact. You create circumstances. You create situations to unfold for you. And when you bring Source in, it's a battery pack that heightens the experience, so you truly can walk in confidence and energy, knowing that the whole external world is a mirror to the inner world, and you get serious about what the inner world looks like, you will immediately see it on the external.
And there's a frequencies that'll change that on a regular basis. So Haley.
Absolutely. If we could just recognize that what happens internally matters, I think there's a lot of confusion. And that's why I mentioned the things that I did tonight, because like I said, we hear stuff, we listen to stuff, even when people are they're reaching and they hear something and they grab that sentence and it resonates, but they may not know where to put it. Like, oh, stand in your power. And like Chris said, what does it mean to stand in my power? It means to accept yourself. It means to honor yourself. It means self-identification. And when you identify who you are, that you don't need to give your power away. It means that you're going to prioritize doing, your intuition says, move to the left. And instead of fighting that and trying to be something for someone else, you're going to say, actually, I feel like I need to move to the left, and I'm going to honor that. And, if it bites me in the butt, then so be it. But I'm going to honor my intuition today. I'm going to honor my truth and my life force. And by honoring myself, I'm going to have an effortless time aligning and interacting to the individuals that are on that same path as me. And when there's no resistance to that, that's how those win-win-win-win-win situations are made. It's not who can you be for the sake of making someone else happy, which is so often a situation a lot of people find themselves in. It's honoring your own authenticity and not being afraid to disappoint someone else, to be true to yourself, and understanding that you're not responsible for how they feel or how they take it or the guilt they want to lay on you. That's why you see when tribe gets together that there's a certain type of respect that comes with in the way that we interact with each other, where it's, you know what, we're friends first. You know what, we're sacred first. Just because you don't do what I want doesn't mean you have to do what I want. It's what I want. And there's another way to create that solution. Just because I want this to be the situation doesn't mean that everyone and everything was here to live life as I want it to be colored in. So when I move in that sacred way for myself, then I will have organic alignment, and it'll be so much easier to get into a vibration that allows what I want to come in together, rather than try to force what I want to come together and always have it be out of arm's reach. Haley?
Mic drop.
Put that all in. I was taking it all in. I was like, this is amazing.
Well, usually those are the questions that we have on our podcast. Is there anything that you guys have questions about, or anything that you want to say before we wrap up tonight? And that goes for you guys too, Val, Denise, everyone, Trainee over in chats too.
I'm going to put something out there for everybody first, even the ones watching. You ready?
Okay.
I want to say thank you for just a wonderful day. I want to be blessed with the people that are here. I want to be able to grow with them and show a harvest of love and truth, and be able to build for better days to come. Give me the strength I need to be the best I can for the ones in front of me and the ones behind. Give me truth, love, and a respect to be who I can, when I can, and the influence of my love, my God, and my spirit.
That was beautiful. So, being that this is a holiday, it's 12/22, and Christmas is a couple of days away. I believe we started Hanukkah. We have the winter solstice, we have Yule, we have Saturnina, we have celebration, a whole bunch of different holidays, Kwanzaa being celebrated right now. So from us to all of you who are currently watching and all of you that will watch, we love you. Thank you for sharing the holidays with us. Thank you for being part of this experience with us. And we will definitely see you on our next episode together. Please have a wonderful holiday. And if anybody needs me, you know my phone number. Please reach out, send a message, send a text. If you would like to get art from Jay or talk to Jay about art or what he does or collaborate, Jay, how do the people get in contact with you? Oh, he turned his mic off again. There you are. Stop talking. There you go.
Come on.
How do we get in contact with you, sir?
Book of Jedediah at Instagram. You go to B4 Art Supplies. B4Arts.com. That's where we sell our art supplies. And also I could get in touch with you and contact with you guys. On any other surface or platform, you have TikTok, which is IMEX314. So if you see me on there as well, don't be afraid to go on and DM me. I have multiple different people that help me out too. So I will be there, but sometimes it's somebody else. So
I am the X14.
I am EX314.
I am EX314, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay, good.
That's on TikTok.
And Haley, I just want to say thank you. You have been on this wonderful journey with me this past weekend. We have been at shows nonstop together, and you have been doing the readings there. Haley started House of Taurus, and she is stepping in her power. She is owning her intuition. She is enjoying her new career and business and opportunity and way to provide love and support to the community through giving her readings and her energy and her time. And she sits with children, adults, people of all ages. I mean, the way people flock to Haley is beautiful, but I see her heart shine every minute of every moment that I'm with her.
Sorry, yes.
Right?
She's trying to get me to cry too, man.
I mean, there's so many beautiful moments. It's just my heartfelt life. I can't help it. But like so many beautiful moments, you know, today you were flipping cards with the children who were around, or the way that you connect to somebody, and you know, you're ever ready with a tissue because you strike somebody just in the right way and give them the most perfect message. And then today, you know, you're rocking your crystals over there, and piece by piece, these pieces came together. We created some custom pieces for Haley, but they all came at different times. And she's got this triangle on. You can't really make it out on the screen so much, but it's like a drop of green fluorite, this labradorite, and then 2 pieces of green fluorite. And she was standing at the table, and the sun poured through the window. And there was like this illumination, like her heart energy when that like final piece got on was so strong that I felt like she was a Care Bear, and she was just pow-powing me with the most amazing love between her and the crystals. And I knew that everybody in the room was feeling what I was feeling, or at least receiving what I was feeling, whether they felt it or not. And I was like, this is such an awesome moment to be a part of. And I just love being surrounded by so many heart-centered, loving people. And that is my gift every day. So thank you guys for being who you are, because then I get to have a great life. And I know it's not all about me, but I'm just saying I benefit a lot.
See, she does it all the time. She makes people cry.
No.
That's why I got to keep the tissues around. That's really
The bestest Care Bears. I love it. Haley, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
My cats are loving the energy. I don't know if you've seen my Gemini twins. They're like back and forth with the tails.
Mm-hmm.
And they were literally at the door like, let us in. We need that vibe. So they're feeling it too. But I'm just feeling very blessed, very grateful. Grateful that I was able to jump on tonight too. And
it's like perfect synchronicity. Peter's like, after the hour of technical difficulty, Peter's like, I only have a half hour. And you're like, I'm running behind, but I'll get on. And you guys like had this perfect intersect. It was great. Well, all this love, all this gratitude, let it carry us into the new year, and let us be the let that love be the light that guides us through what it means for us to all take part in the most epic co-collaborative efforts, because no matter where you are, if our hearts are joined together, we're tapped into the oneness, and that energy is echoing out through the multiverse. So you're all responsible, and you benefit more than yourself when you step into your authenticity.
You're responsible. You're responsible.
You're responsible. You're responsible. We're all the light. We're all shining, and we don't do it through spiritual bypass. We do it through authentic ownership of the sacred. All right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, this was a beautiful episode. Thank you all so much for taking part in it with us. We love you, and we will talk to you soon. See you next week.